Students, last lecture we all had discussed the respiration in invertebrates. Now we will be talking about the respiration in vertebrates. As I told you, when we will be learning the phylum vertebrata, that time we will go the class wise. And the first class, Pisces, will be discussed today. That is fish. And in the fish, we all are going to discuss in detail about the bony fish, and we are not going to learn the entire respiratory system. Instead of that, we all are going to focus on the special respiratory organ they possess. First, we will be talking in detail about one of the respiratory system and mechanism, and thereafter we will be talking about, as I told you, we all are going to focus to the modified respiratory organ. So some modified respiratory organ, which is also called as the accessory respiratory organ, that will be discussed here. Thereafter, in amphibian, in detail we all are going to learn about the frog. In birds, we all are going to learn about the pigeon in detail. And the mammalian class, we all are going to discuss with the man. As I told you, that will end our comparative studies with the man, that is the higher into the classification. Okay, highest, or you can say the most complex. So let us begin with the respiration in vertebrate. In general, when we talk about the fish respiration, now fish are of two types. One is cartilaginous and another is your bony fish. So in this particular lecture, we all are going to focus about the bony fish. But in general, what is the respiratory mechanism? The fish, they take the water inside the body from their mouth, and thereafter what happens, this water spreads over the gills, and here thereafter the diffusion of the gases occurs into the gill filaments or the lamella, and thereafter water will flow out directly from the gills to the outside body. Okay, this is the general idea. Now, when we talk about the bony fish, so their clade is the teleostomus, and the superclass is the osteochitis. They have approximate 45 order. When we talk about the bony fish, so they have the special structure which covers their gills, that is called as the operculum. At home also, when you might have brought the whole fish, so that time you might have observed something is covering to the gills, and in the case of the cartilaginous fish, these gills are open. Okay, as I told you, we are going to learn the specific organ which have some modification. That's why we all are going to learn the bony fish today. So this operculum, this prevents the water matlab unnecessary to move out. When we talk about this operculum, this is a trapdoor like structure. Now this not only act as the covering, it also act as a pump. Okay, now when we talk about the anatomy, general anatomy, inside, if operculum is removed, you will observe here the gill arcs are there. Over the gill arcs, you will observe, you will have the gill rackers. Okay, now this gill racker will have the attached gill filament. Now those who all are piscivorous, they all might have seen all this in real, because they are eating the fish. So at some time the whole fish we are purchasing, and that time they might have seen all this structure. A few people, they eat the head of the fish also, so they just see this thing very clearly. So these gill filaments are nicely attached on this gill arc, and they have some hook-like structure. These are known as the gill racker. So each gill racker will give to the gill filament. So let us discuss with the example. The first example we all are going to learn is the Labeo rohita. Labeo rohita is a freshwater bony fish. Normally, commonly we called it as a rohu. It is one of the most tasty fish, one of my favorite also. Now, when you will observe this fish, as it is bony fish, so its gills will also be covered by the operculum. Now, when we talk about the cartilaginous fish like shark, and also they do not comprise of all this operculum. So this operculum, this act as a pump. So for that particular reason, fish can breathe without necessarily moving forward into the water. Otherwise, what happens? The cartilaginous fish, they have to keep moving continuously so that they can breathe. Now let us discuss about the Labeo rohita. Now, when we talk about the anatomy, so you will observe that they have the four pair of the gills. Now, see, you will observe the inner surface of the operculum in this diagram. If you will observe the inner surface of the operculum, you will observe that the operculum, it is very nicely attached. Now, how to enlarge it? I need to end the screen. Otherwise, it is observed. If you will observe it, you all can see here the bronchial chamber is written, right? So you will observe inner surface of the operculum. It is supported by the bronchiostrial rays, which act as one-way wall. Now see this bronchiostrial wave. It is very special because it allows water to leave. But the speciality of this will not allow the water to enter. So they have to take water from here, as we have seen in the earlier slide that the water is entering into the mouth. So in the buccal cavity, there are oral walls behind the mouth which allows the water to enter into the mouth but not to leave it. So both the side it is prevented. From the mouth water can enter only, from the gills water can leave only. So when we talk about the gills, so you will observe that each gill is supported with a gill arch, the bony structure that oriented vertically at one side. Just behind the head you will observe this gill arch, they are provided with the support to hold the number of comb-like structure. These are called as the gill filaments. Now here you can see the gill filaments. Lots many gill filaments are there. These are the comb-like structure. Now each gill filament divided into many branches like primary lamellae. Now again it will divide into the secondary lamellae. A primary lamella is there. Okay, suppose if this is a primary lamella, so it will have many branches over it, and this will give rise to the secondary lamellae. Now again this secondary lamellae will divide into the tiny secondary lamellae. Why there is a division, why there are small subdivision? The reason behind it, now see, if you will observe this particular diagram, you will observe these are nicely arranged comb-like structure, and from that the primary lamellae are coming. They have the secondary lamellae, and thereafter again it is dividing. So what happens? All these things increase the surface area. Now we have learned about the characteristic of respiratory surfaces, that the good respiratory surface, they are highly vascular and they have the great surface area. So when they divide and subdivide, so what happens? This division and subdivision, it increases. Now when we talk about the secondary lamella, so they are again highly vascular, and all this you can see they run parallel to each other. And when we talk about the flow, so definitely the flow of water is going to be parallel. The direction of blood flow in the capillary is definitely opposite to the water. So higher concentration of oxygen where it will be where the water is entering in, and then thereafter this water oxygen, or you can say the dissolved oxygen, will be taken up by the secondary lamella which are attached to the gill arch, and there after that what is going to be happen, this gill raker will add the fish for the feeding also. So this is general idea. Again, once again we will see when we observe the gills. So yes, they have the four pair of the gills which contain into the bronchial chamber. When we talk about the bronchial chamber, so we have learned that it is always covered with the operculum to prevent it, and then we have the bronchiostrial membrane which is attached to the posterior margin of operculum. When we talk about the type of gills, notice down the gills are hollow branch type. Each gill has the double row of filament, as you all can see here. Now all these hollow branch will be supported by the gill racker as I have shown in the earlier diagram. Now the two rows of gills lamellae, they are separated with the interbranchial septum. Now this interbranchial septum you can see is very short and the compact. Now when we talk about the gill arch, so they bears the afferent and the efferent artery. Student, note down the term afferent and efferent. Whenever afferent is coming, so a vessel which brings blood towards the organ, any organ. Okay, A for afferent. And efferent which takes the blood away from the organ, that is exit. It is remember easy to even remember, exit E. Okay, so it could be the lymph vessel, anything. Afferent means bringing the supply towards the organ, efferent leaving it. Now both could be pronounced as efferent only, but I always remember and pronounce it as afferent and efferent, so that idea comes that afferent it is bringing towards the organ, in efferent it is taking away from the organ. Okay, so when we talk about the as I told you, if it is a respiratory surface, it must be supplemented with lots of vessels. So here one afferent and two efferent branchial vesicles are there. Now, what is the mechanism? Mechanism is simple. Lateral movement of opercula will bring about the respiration. Now, these are the opercula, so there will be a lateral movement because it is present laterally towards the body. When the opercula will raise, okay, point is important. When the operculum will raise, gill aperture will close. आ रही है बात समझ में? Here operculum is open, so that particular time gill aperture will close. Now how this will close? This will close by the bronchostegial membrane. Now this will open the oral valve. Okay. Now when the oral valve will be opening, and from here you will just imagine the situation. Operculum is open. So when the operculum will open, this bronchostegial membrane will close the gills aperture. Okay, thereafter what is going to be happen, this oral wall will be open, and when the oral valve is open, now you can see what is going to be happen, water will enter. But imagine if from one side it is going to close, so automatically suction will come. Understood? So because of this suction pump, water will be enter faster rate. Will imagine this situation. Now see, this again will repeat. This operculum is raised, and after that what is going to be happen, when this will raise automatically. Now if it is opening like this, so this will bring the bronchostegial membrane. Now this bronchostegial membrane will close what? It is going to close the gill aperture. Now gill aperture is closed, here work is stopped. So here what is going to be happen, it is going to contract, and this will bring the opening of this your oral wall. You can see these oral walls are open. Now here it is going to create a suction like situation, and from here the water will enter inside from the mouth. Okay, so we need to remember there is only one opening, that is mouth, and this oral valve plays a very important role. This oral valve do not let the water to move out. Why? Because when this operculum is raised, that particular time only water can enter, and raising of this operculum closes the bronchostegial membrane or gill rakers, and from here the water, or you can say the living side of the water, is closed. So there is only one opening, and there is a suction also, so water will enter inside the body. Now exactly opposite will happen at the time of breathe out. Now when this operculum are lowered, okay, so that particular time what is going to be open? that particular time exactly opposite will happen. This oral valve now you can see is closed. Okay, okay. Now at that time, this will give pressure to the buccal cavity. Now this will also increase the area into the pharynx. Now all this thing will give pressure to the oral valve. Now pressure on the oral valve will close the oral valve, and at that time here also pressure will come, and from that pressure this bronchiostrigal membrane will open, and this will automatically, all this contraction will automatically bring force here, and with that particular force the water will pours to gills, and from the gills it will go to the opercular cavity, and the water will move out of the body, and this particular place exchange of gases will take place into the gill lamella. Now in addition to gills, some fishes they may have the accessory respiratory organ also. So mechanism of respiration is very simple, children. You need to remember when operculum rests, so that particular time the bronchiostrigal membrane close. As soon as the bronchiostrigal membrane close, so here what is going to be happen, the relaxation will happen, and automatically these oral valves are going to open. Now from this side closing is there, from this side opening is there, automatically it will create a suction type situation, and like a pump the water will be forced inside the mouth, and when the mouth will take the sufficient amount of the water, from that water here the pressure will generate, understood, into the pharynx cavity, and over the gills this water will be spread with the force. So what is going to be happen, this force, now see, when the water will spread over the gills, automatically the internal respiration will occur and the gaseous exchange will occur at this particular site. And after that what is going to be happen, this your bronchiostrigal membrane will get a force, and this operculum will lower, and the water will force outside, and this way the water which is went out, now see, the water which has entered from the mouth has the dissolved oxygen, and that dissolved oxygen will be taken up by the blood, and from the blood it will go to the various part of the body, and from that blood whatever carbon dioxide was there, that will be exchanged or will be returned to that water only, and from that side, that means your bronchiostrigal membrane will open, and from the side of this operculum cavity the water will move out. Okay, this is the basic idea or the basic mechanism of the respiration into the bony fish, and we have learned with this special example, that is Labeo rohita. Any doubt till here? Yes. Now see, yeah, although this type of special mechanism is there, but still some fish they are living into the shallow and stagnant water, and sometimes you may observe that the fish are also present into the stream water, where the streams dry up in the time of the summer. So that particular time it is very difficult to fish to remain out of the water for some time, or you can say tolerate the oxygen deficient water for the some time. So that particular time special organs are there, that organs are called as the accessory respiratory organ. So the this particular structure, they originate either from the pharyngeal gills, or you can say the branchial cavity, and they are rarely found into the marine fishes, because see, these marine fish they never ever get the deprived of the water, they never get the chance to come out of the water and bear the oxygen tension and all. In Anabas and the Clarius, some sac-like diverticulas are there. That diverticulas they are called as the opercular lungs, and they develop from the dorsal surface of the bronchial chamber, and they lie above the gill. Now, when we talk about the accessory organ, first we will discuss this Anabas. When we talk about Anabas, they are also called as the Clambigurami, and they can live without water approximate, you will not imagine, 6 to 10 hours. and hardly 30 centimeter fish is there. When you will observe their body is very rough and spiny. You can see like this. You will not believe, with the help of their spines they can climb even the coconut tree. So they are freshwater. They are from the family Anabas. They can live without and walk without water. Walk with tail and lower edge spines. After this lecture, I will show you a small clip. In that, I will show you how this climbing perch, or you can say the climbing gunami, they climb to the coconut tree. Now they grow about 20. Maximum length is 30 centimeters. They have a special organ, air breathing organ, that is called as the labyrinthy plates. Now these are the special see, labyrinth means breathe with gills, but also they possess the supplemental breathing structure, that is the laryngin. That's why their uh, respiratory organ is known as the labyrinthy plate. So normal they will breathe with the gills only, but extra structure is there. That's why it is called as the accessory pigment. Now, when we talk about this particular area or labyrinthine plates, they are highly vascular and they become folded. Now, why they are going to fold? Now, I told you always the fold into the organ. It is happening for the purpose of the increasing the area. Simple idea. And now, why do we fold? Now, suppose I want to keep one sari inside the cupboard. What I will do, I will fold it in properly to keep it. Now, because of the folding, what happen? It will take the less space, right or wrong? Now, whenever you are complaining, mummy, I want new cupboard, मेरे cupboard में बिल्कुल जगह नहीं, your mummy will say कि keep your dresses properly by folding it, right or wrong? And when your mother will clean the cupboard, that time you will find that one complete drawer is empty and there is a space. Why? Because she has folded it in a proper way. Now, how we keep is the same, that we are just putting, pushing. So now here, come back to the point. Here this folding is occurring. Why there is a folding? Because of increasing the surface area. Now when this fold becomes more and more, so more and more respiratory area comes. Now this more and more gaseous exchange surface will increase, right? So here all this idea is to increase the surface area. Now when we talk about the chamber, so this chamber or this particular labyrinthic plates, they are suprabronchial chamber. Suprabronchial means they are above the gills. Okay, you can see here it is. So they are suprabronchial chambers. Now they can communicate freely not only with the opercular cavity but also with the buccopharyngeal cavity. So both way, either they can communicate with the buccopharyngeal. You can see here also they have the opening buccopharyngeal cavity directly, and from the gills also. So both the site is available. Now when we talk about this plate, so each and every chamber contains characteristic rosette like labyrinthine organ. Now they have number of shell like concentric plates. Now you can see the plates very well here. This plate look like somewhere concentric, and they have the shape like shell. When we talk about the overall structure, so this plate creates a wavy margin and they are covered with the vascular gill like epithelium. Now how they breathe, now see, the basic idea is they have to stay without the water. So dissolved oxygen, if they will, water is available, normal breathing will happen, what we have learned into the previous case. But when they are outside the water, so that particular time the air will enter into this particular chamber. Now from where the air will enter from the buccopharyngeal opening and goes out through the external gill slits, because now they will not enter into the normal gills. They will have the external gill slit and the entrance of the buccopharyngeal cavity. All this thing will be controlled by a special valve. Now see, the fish is very smart. When they are into the water, they have to take, they don't have any other option to take other than the dissolved oxygen. So that particular time normal breathing mechanism will occur, as we have learned into the previous case. And when they are out of the water, that is important to remember, that particular time the air will enter into the buccopharyngeal cavity, and from there it is going to the labyrinthine plates, and from the external gill slit the air will go out. Now why do they require special type of the respiratory mechanism? Because they are fish, they have to breathe on the normal water, but as they have to stay without the water for the several hours, so for that particular reason this special type of adaptation has come with the evolution. Understood? Any doubt into the Anabas? Now one more such modification can be seen into the, see, this is the special chamber. Now this is your operculum, labyrinthine organ is there, and you can see gills are there, and above the gills the labyrinthine organ is present. Now another type of such modification can be seen into the Clarius. Normally we call it as a catfish. Okay. Now you will observe catfish here, they have the special type of respiratory organ. Now you will see this usually where it is found into the India and African rivers. The accessory respiratory organ is simply pair of suprabronchial organs. These lie above the gills, and they are divided into the two part. When you will observe an air tree or rosette, this is called as the arborescent organ. Now this arborescent organ, they are supported by the cartilaginous internal skeleton. They are covered by the vascular epithelium, and again it is highly vascularized sac of the bronchial chamber, which is enclosed into the arborescent organ. Now they will also have the normal gills. Usually, this particular type of fish, they are found into the stagnant water. So there is highest chances that that particular water may dry up, and at that particular time they can move to the other aquatic environment. They can walk for kilometer also. They roam and roam, and they go to the another aquatic environment. They search the another environment, and there they stay with the water. So when they again same way they have the normal water, that particular time they will take the help of this gill slit, and above that you can see this arborescent organ is present, and this arborescent organ helps them to live outside the water for several hours, and also to move along the damp grasses. Accessory respiratory organ are found generally in tropical fish of amphibious habitat, and that organs sustain the life without the water. So we need to remember the normal fish, their respiratory surface is gills, but in the case when the fish have to tolerate the low oxygen tension and they have to stay without the water, some modifications are there. In the case of the your walking grammy, or you can say the climbing perch Anabas, we have learned that is the labyrinth. And in the case of the catfish, we the name of that specially accessory organ is the arborescent organ. So that is also called as the dendriform, because it just give like the dendritic structure. Okay, any doubt in this? The next lecture we all will be talking about the respiration into the amphibian class. For this note, we'll stop for now if you don't have any doubt.